just hello, Paul. Hello, Emily. Heian Karate team. Welcome to the podcast. Thank you for your time. And let's start with some introductions. What you do and all about you.
Oh, all right. Do you want to go first?
No, you go first.
Oh, okay.
You're good
Well,
at it.
my name is Paul Musolf. I've been involved in the martial arts since 2006. I earned my black belt in 2009, late 2009, and I um, took over the school that we currently run in 2014. So I've been running a school of my own for 10 years.
Mhm.
So, yeah. I currently hold a rank of Yondan in Shotokan Karate, and I dabble in other arts as well. So a little of Wing Chun, some Jiu-Jitsu, and just whatever comes my way. So, yeah.
Little bit of everything.
Mhm.
And you, Emily?
Um, well, I'm Emily. I am Paul's wife. But I actually started at Heian Karate Do in 2001, and then I met Paul in 2006. So I had already gotten my black belt by then. So it was kind of cool. But that's when I met him, and we've known each other for quite a long time. And then more recently got together, and now here we are. So, but I currently hold my rank, my second dan in Shotokan. And again, I also dabble. So I am currently working on rank in Wing Chun,
Mhm.
ranks in Eskrima, I don't know, training Goju, a little bit of everything. So yeah.
It's amazing. I'm dabbling as well in different arts, so I know how it feels. And it's interesting. How do you fitting all this stuff into your curriculum? Because if I'm seen correctly, you both training under a amazing Paul Enfield and Michelle Enfield,
Mhm.
right? In the Goju, and then you got your Shotokan background. They're kind of like on the opposite sides of the spectrum in terms of how you move and how you do stuff. How that
Yeah.
you combining that in together?
Oh, well, one, we've it's been described as our Shotokan is the most Okinawan looking Shotokan that people have seen. So the way it moves, so we're augmenting the way we're moving. Um,
Hmm.
I always think I've described it before that Shotokan's like the Texas of karate. So there's a saying that says everything is bigger in Texas. So you know how the stances are larger, the
Yeah,
motions are. Um, so that's a challenge sometimes
Yeah.
to bounce from one to the other. But it is certainly fun, and I think to some degree it makes them both better.
yeah. Mm,
My Shotokan practice makes my Goju better, and my Goju makes my Shotokan better. So
Yeah.
awesome.
I would
And
definitely say that.
for you, Emily, because you're training as well with Michelle and Paul.
Yeah, no, it's a good time. I think we're a very unique school, because even though our basis is Shotokan, we don't do competitions or anything like that. So we
Hmm.
do self-defense related martial arts. So anything that we can learn and borrow from other styles, we bring back so that way we can make our self-defense better. So that way we can provide that to the community. So I think the Goju is just another way to make ourselves better, our training better. I mean, great fitness levels. Every time I do their classes, it's like I'm ready for a nap. So they have excellent fitness levels on top of skill levels. So it's
yeah.
always a great time.
Yeah. The only downside is we don't get to train with them very much,
Mhm.
not like we'd like, you know. So
Hmm.
it's we get some online classes when they have seminars and
Mhm.
such, and we get to train in person. But it's been a while since I was a Uchadeshe uh, working with them, and I went out to California. So we're on opposite ends of the country. So you just make time when you can.
Yeah.
So uh, it would be nice to be able to spend more time with them. So
Yeah. If we had more time and money and energy and us to be able to go fly back and forth to California every day, that'd be great.
yeah,
So
right.
Yeah,
So
at
so
at,
we do.
le at least you guys are on on the same continent. For us, getting Paul is a bit more challenging.
Yeah,
yes, it's
right.
crazy.
Yeah, that's different.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
absolutely.
So
Well, I mean, if we
I'm gonna ask you a sensitive question. What the hell did to you those coconuts? Why you hate them so much? I think
Well,
that's everybody is interesting in that.
yeah. So, well, it's not that I have a problem with coconuts. I'm not allergic or anything. The coconut water doesn't make my stomach feel great when I drink it, but um, no. So why I even got in that was Iron Palm. Was I was watching one of Paul Enfield's videos.
Mm,
He got into it because he wanted to see if there was some practicality in it. So for him, and because he saw that some people were making not like a mumbo jumbo out of it, but they were doing a lot of woo and then breaking
mm,
the coconut. And he said, well, there has to be all that doesn't have to be the pomp and smoke
mm,
and all that. He said, where's the practical? So anyway, he ended up making a video, and I thought that'd be cool because who doesn't want to break a coconut? That's fun. That sounds fun. And I had never done, that's not a part of what I had done previously. But once I saw the benefits of it, so there's heavy-handedness that comes with it. If you don't hit things on a regular basis,
mhm,
then you have difficulty transferring energy just in general. But there's something about that iron palm training with the coconut where you learn how to drop your weight into something. And not only does it make you more learning how to transfer energy, but you feel more resilient and more, I don't know, sturdy might be
mhm,
the word. And so and then I noticed since I've done that, people have a harder time. They don't want me to block as hard.
mm,
You know, like there's something there that you learn to train, and you're not even trying; it just happens. Um, but I wanted to have the allure for me wasn't so much to break the coconut. That was fun, but to have the confidence to do that. But it was more, I wanted to have the confidence in my blocking techniques and my um, being able to resist motions.
mm.
That makes sense?
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
so far, that's worked. It's been a great help. So
How
now,
long
now
it
I just do it for fun. Yeah.
how long it took you to get you kind of I I've been researching the coconut breaking, so I can break coconut as well, but it's not like you I've seen you putting it in from every angle, right? I
Mm.
learned that there's one spot you can break it easily, so I just do that, hit it on the
Yeah.
right spot, and it breaks as well. But how long did you the conditioning, the training with the heavy palm protocols? Because Paul got the whole video, whole course of it in it.
Yeah.
So
He has
it
a wonderful protocol, and
mm,
it's deceptively simple, but it isn't
mhm,
easy. Do you,
mhm.
it, so the idea, I don't want to give it away, but the
Yeah,
idea
sure.
behind the protocol is uh you just follow it and you're consistent. When I say it's not difficult to follow because anyone can do it.
Hmm.
It's hard because of it being consistent in the training because you have to do it every day.
Hmm.
I mean, it took me about 15 minutes. I could get it down to 10, but it was about 15 minutes in the morning when I was having coffee before work, and I would train every day. And it took me about 4 months
Hmm.
to break a coconut, but it was the same coconut I was training with,
Oh,
right?
okay.
So I thought I might have maybe loosened it up a bit, you know. I waited another 2 months and then I just started continue the training, and then I would go to the store and just buy a coconut off the shelf and then put it on the ground and hit it. I don't know if you've seen, I did a couple of videos.
Yeah.
I did just that because people were like, well, you're baking them or you are um they're pre-cracked or things like that. But no, you pick it up and you do it. The training works. Um, there isn't mysticism. I suppose it's mysticism in the fact that you have to be consistent, and most people don't like being consistent.
Yeah, well, it's hard work, isn't it? Be doing
Yeah,
same thing at the same time. But for those who would like to break some coconuts, go to Paul's Enfield website and grab the course from there. And as Paul here proven, it does work. If that's your thing, if you've got the, hatred or not liking coconuts for some reason, go and smash some. Did you, Emily, try the break coconuts, or you breaking as well, or you just using them for cooking when he does finish with them?
Well, there's two myths there. One is I did attempt it, but so busy with everything else, I just wasn't consistent with it. But it
Mhm.
does work. I think I did it for about a month, and I could definitely feel the difference when I did start hitting it. I was just dropping into it, and my
Mhm.
hand didn't hurt anymore. So it was really cool how the process works. And I wish I could say I was the cook of the house, but it's all Paul. So he's got to break
All
them
right.
and cook them. So
Yeah.
he's got a
So
lot of talents.
you Paul, I remember you've been saying you've been a teacher as well, and then you transferred. Is the now the teaching martial arts your full-time job? Because I remember you've been saying online that you're quitting the school system and moving into the different area of life.
Yes, I'm still working. I have a day job and then running the dojo with Emily. So I have the two things we're still doing.
Hmm.
But yeah, I was a school teacher for I was what they call a parapro,
Hmm.
but it was during the time of COVID, just pre-COVID and after COVID. And teachers have they've been a there's a there's a void, right? There's a
Hmm.
need for teachers right now. And so I was in the parapro position, but they knew that I had experience in the classroom. So I got my long-term substitute teaching license. And so, and there are special things in Michigan where if you meet the certain criteria, you don't have to go through all the schooling. They can just put you in a classroom with a co-teacher and you can be a
Okay.
teacher.
Hmm.
So that's what they had me do for 2 years. And then I changed schools and I went to a different school system and started teaching ninth through 12th graders. And they had me, when I applied for that job, I again just was going to apply for the parapro position at the different school. And they said, well, no, you did very well on the interview. We'd like to see if you interview for this other position. And it was to be a special education teacher. So I worked in special education for 2 years. Uh, it was a lot, and I did love it, but and there was a time for a change. So I'm currently working in with vehicles. I'm doing glass windshield replacement
Okay.
during the day.
That's a huge change. But I'm sure that the being a school teacher and special education in particular must have improved your way of teaching karate and how you interact with students. Can you kind of shed some light on it? And I do
Oh,
apologize because my camera is quite high, so I just noticed that it looks all the time that I'm looking down. I'm not because I.
oh, that's okay.
Oh,
Me too, probably. So yeah, I learned a lot about classroom management, of course. You know, and it's in a different way because the students I was working with did have special needs. I learned different tactics and methodologies for just teaching in general. Uh, how to recognize when a student might be showing um, autistic tendencies or ADHD tendencies or any of the other things, and how you might deal with those. It shows in the classroom here. We have students that are more. I feel like I can reach them a little better.
Mhm.
You know, not that we didn't have experience in it before, but it just a whole new level and appreciation for it as well. Um, I learned how to be more patient with certain students,
Mhm.
and that's actually helped the general population because we have students here with special needs. We have some that are ADHD. We have some that are on the spectrum, and so they need more encouragement and they need more uh, switching from what we're doing. Like, so you and I might be able to stay on a certain task for 15 to 30 minutes, maybe,
Mhm.
maybe. We might have to switch attention. Uh, but for some of our students, we have to make sure we change it up, but teach the same thing, but teach it 5 different ways, if that
Mhm.
makes sense.
Mhm.
Um, and then just being more compassionate. I learned to be more compassionate with some students. The way I grew up in the martial arts was, uh, well, we didn't have a lot of kids here when
Mhm.
I was coming up through the ranks. So uh, having being able to have the opportunity to teach kids didn't come up very often, even when I was earning my black belt and I was helping in class.
Mhm.
So it's made a big difference where we've been able to expand our children's program
Mhm.
from 4 to 8 years old, and we've been able to expand our young adult children's program. So, in a good way. So.
Yeah,
This is
absolutely.
this is kind of unusual because usually karate is full of kids, and you say that you didn't have many kids to
No,
teach. That's kind of opposite to everywhere else.
We were never really our instructor was never really big on having kids in class. I think his limit was like maybe 10 or 11 years old,
All
that he
right.
started them into karate. But it was still very selective. It was like almost you had to go through like an interviewing process in a way,
Right.
because he was very selective. Because we were a self-defense school and we didn't do competitions, he taught a lot of I should say extra dangerous things. So because I mean, he was he was in the military and a lot of that stuff. So he took a lot of the things that we're doing now, taking different things in and then being able to adapt them into the curriculum.
Yeah.
So he was definitely cautious about that, so no one got hurt.
And I think he was in a unique position as well because he did have a day job, and this wasn't his sole source of income.
Mhm.
And I know that a lot of schools, they provide more classes for children so that they can pay their bills.
Yeah.
Because that is the big draw, right? Kids, um, unfortunately, karate has the stigma of being a child's plaything. You,
Mm,
you know, and
yeah.
I mean, if that's a way to put it, and maybe that's not the way to put it, but
No, no, no.
uh,
I think it's a spot on. Yeah, I don't teach children, and my wife keeps telling me that if I want to get rich, I need to start teaching children. So, and if you ask anybody what karate is, they're gonna tell you that it's karate's and karate is kids activity. So
Mhm.
I think that's fair. Hopefully it's gonna change in the future with the um, practical karate movement and combat sports. Now we're seeing more karateka entering in and actually winning and so on and so on. But I was want to ask Emily, are you a teacher as well, or
So I actually, I thought about being a teacher until Paul was the teacher, and I was like, well, I'm really glad I dodged that bullet. So, no, I actually most all of my experience is in marketing, and right now I'm an accounting manager for my regular day job. So, but I do a lot of the behind the scenes work too, on top of instructing. So, because Paul does not like paperwork, so so someone has to do that stuff. But we make a pretty good team with our skill sets for sure. So.
For sure, I'm running everything myself, and I need a good accountant. That would be lovely to have somebody to help me.
Hey man, if I could, I would fly back and forth and I'd help you out too. So
so I told you I work in glass during the day doing glass work. The owner of the business told me recently we were having lunch and he said, behind every successful or talented businessman is a woman that does everything and
Yeah.
should get the spotlight. And I thought, well, that's a wonderful thing to say, but also it kind of shines a light on a little bit of sexism maybe. But
Mm,
but it I think more so that should be you should have teammates and you should have
mm,
partners
mm,
that you can work with because no one can do it all.
mm,
yeah.
I d- and we shouldn't have to. We should share the load, right?
yeah.
So
And there's still times, I mean, we switch on and off when it comes to teaching too. So and he's learning a little bit more at a time. You just have to take small doses,
yeah,
but he's learning more about that stuff. So that way we can share the load together because, teaching 5 days a week is a lot on top of full-time jobs. So, but it's
Sure.
100% worth it.
Mm,
so I had why I'm letting off the reins of it. So for 8 years, it was just me running
mm,
the school, teaching the classes, putting the curriculum out. I didn't have any help. So in the last 2.5 years, since Emily's come on board as an active member in the dojo and my partner in the dojo, I've had to learn how to step back a little bit, and it's good because then I get to sit in class and be a student,
Mhm.
and my
mm,
my my students get to see me be a student, and I think that's a good thing.
Yeah.
So
for sure. So how did the takeover of the dojo come about? Was it planned or it just happened?
mine
Mm.
Yeah,
originally.
well,
So
you both
in
took over, so
well in 2014, Sensei Robert Lee, the founder of this school, he decided he wanted to retire. Well, maybe 2 years before. And he said, guys, I'm going to retire. He took all the black belts and said, you've got about 2 years. We need to decide what we're going to do. If no one wants to take it over, if you don't want to take it over as a group, I'm going to lock the doors. And well, I, for one, did not want to just give up on something I loved. That for me, it was just like, we just can't do that. And I wanted to be able to continue to train, be able to continue to teach. So I kept my rank up, and I kept learning as much as I could over those 2 years on how to do my best running a business, how to teach better. I did a lot of instruction, how to become a teacher, even though I had been helped, and I was at that point an assistant instructor and things, but it's not the same as running it yourself, not even close. There's so much behind the scenes stuff. But I thought I might as well try. What's the worst that can happen? I completely fail, and then I have to close the doors anyway. But at least I gave it my best shot. So in 2014, we went to the courthouse, and he signed it over and said, "Good luck. I'll help where I can, but it's all yours. You're the captain of the ship, as it were." And at first, so I mean, and it was that simple. It was that simple. At first, we lost a couple of students because I think, when your sensei retires, you're like, well, I don't know about the new guy, and that's fine. I figured that would happen. But I had to learn about how word of mouth works. I had to learn about how advertising works, but we were able to keep it afloat. Things are, again, I had still had my day job, so that made it easy but hard. Like the bills were easy because I've never had to really take money out of my own pocket, other than I was paying my own dues. I still treated myself like a student and put that money in the bank. So we were never really like behind. But I didn't really know how to get a lot of students in. Plus, there came like my maximum capacity for one person to teach wasn't that much. At a time, maybe I could manage a classroom of 18 students, 20 students. But to say like, okay, let's get 50 students in here so it starts really paying the bills was just something I had difficulty doing on my own, and managing all the other things.
So sorry, jumping in, how big is your school now?
Well, right now, we have 30 something students, but it's
Yeah,
summer
like
is slow.
35. Yeah, between like 35 and 40, something like that.
Oh, that's nice. Nice number.
Yeah, we have a couple of things. So outside of that, we've been doing some seminars. We have a senior center that's one town over that wants us to do self-defense classes. And then we have one we're doing with our nonprofit that we're going to be doing in downtown Flint, which will be a big deal at the courthouse. They've asked us to come in. So we have some things where we're able to cast a wider net to get more students in and at least network. So
I'm gonna ask you about the self-defense stuff for women and community, but I get there in a second.
oh yeah, no, that's okay.
Yeah. So I don't know if I remember correctly, but I think it was you. If not you, I'm sorry. But I think you've been saying kind of 2014, 2015 when we met online, you've been saying about your health problems. Is that correct? You had something with your eye, but
Oh, me. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So
So
can you say how that kind of relates to martial arts, and how did the martial arts help you with coping with this maybe, and what was the impact of martial arts on your mental health?
that's interesting.
It's a big question.
Yeah, there's a lot.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Good.
I'll start at the beginning of that question. So when I was born, so this is a disfigurement, an internal disfigurement that I've had since I was born. So I was 2.5 months premature, and they put you so that you can continue developing. They put you in an oxygen chamber. This was 1980, so the technology was drastically different. But one of the last things to develop are your eyes fully, right? So the way it was explained to me was, as I was in the oxygen tank, they turned the oxygen up too much, and that
All right.
it had my eye. So usually your eye is circle. Mine is slightly oval, and it pushes on the ocular nerve pushes on the side of my eye socket and causes it to be blurry. on my
Oh,
left hand side. So if I close my right eye and I just look at my left, everything kind of looks blurry. I can't see a whole lot. In third or fourth grade, the eye doctor told me to wear an eye patch to strengthen this eye, and it might help. So for the whole entire year, I ran around class with an eye patch. Some kids thought I injured myself, but most people just thought I was a pirate, which was kind of funny. And because you get ribbed about it, you get teased about it.
yeah.
And so spatial awareness is difficult. And karate has helped with that, where I'm able to see how we have something called cone of vision that our teacher taught, where you spread out your vision so you can see as much as you
Yeah.
can. Well, what I ended up doing was I just relaxed my right eye so that it would match my left. So
Okay.
everything isn't in perfect 20/20 vision, but I can see everything. And when things move, I can react to them better.
That must be your board face.
She calls it my board face. So I just take in as much information as I can.
Okay.
So it doesn't help me from getting punched on the left side of my face, though. Sometimes, it seems like I have to make sure I guard more. But it's good. That's been good. And just being more aware of my surroundings has helped. I don't run into things like I did when I was a kid. But I didn't start martial arts until I was 26 anyway. I wasn't a kid starting martial arts. It's helped a lot as an advantage when we're talking about in close fighting, though. Once you're actually touching, sight doesn't matter as much.
Yeah.
So it's more, so that's helped learning how that different space works. So as far as mental health, karate has helped a lot, because I grew up not, I don't want to say sickly, but I wasn't a sports kid or a person. I didn't have a lot of positive interactions when it came to doing sports. Like I played softball or baseball for a year, but it was kids phase. And I played football for 1 year just before high school, and it was good. I really liked hitting people. That was fun. I guess maybe that was a precursor to karate. I liked all the physicality, and I did wrestling for a year, but each time, and it wasn't that the team aspect was negative, but that was my performance was poor. So you don't do well on a team if your performance is poor.
Yeah.
So I when I found karate as an adult, I wasn't sure I would even like it, because I wasn't sure what it was about. It's a very individual thing. Your journey is for you, and as I found out going through it. But I absolutely fell in love with it, and I think that helps. Loving what you're doing. But recognizing that I don't say it's all about you, but it's such a personal journey, and recognizing your own growth through that has helped me a lot. I've become throughout my martial arts journey someone that it walks maybe slumped over a little bit, or maybe looks at your feet while you're walking. I've learned to walk really. I've changed my posture, and how I talk to people and how I talk to myself has changed. There are times where you let things get to you, and then maybe you want to quit, or maybe you just don't think you're good enough. And the interactions that you have with your fellow students, they can lift you up without knowing it, without them knowing it. And it's been very wonderful. I wouldn't trade the experience for anything. I feel like that is an invaluable part that doesn't get talked about in martial arts. Because you can learn more about someone on the floor working with them for an hour than you ever will having a 2-week conversation.
Yeah, there's something magical in the physical contact, isn't it?
It is.
And the hard work. And Emily, how it's for you? Is the martial arts had an impact on your mental health, positive, negative, or no impact?
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm so thankful for martial arts. It's saved me a lot of times in life, and growing up was interesting. I have 2 sisters. If they ever watch this for any reason, I'm sure that we'll have long conversations about it. But growing up with my two sisters was very interesting. So one turned out to be a therapist and is amazing, and then the other one
Mhm.
has some narcissistic tendencies and she's very difficult to
Mhm.
interact with. Um, so so growing up with her was always challenging because she was the oldest, and my mom seemed to give her whatever she wanted, things like that. But it also meant that being the middle child, I wasn't able to I wasn't ever able to thrive very well,
Mhm.
because I was always stuck in the middle. I was always, why didn't you listen to your sister? Why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do that? Or, you need to pay attention to whatever she's got going on. It was very much like, it was very hard. So
Mhm.
I don't think we have enough time to go into the in-depth parts of growing up with that. But martial arts helped me by giving me a space where I felt like I was valued, and it gave me a safe space where I could actually just be a person,
Mhm.
and I wasn't seen as the middle child, or just this person that my family could use, because I ended up becoming this huge people pleaser. So growing up, especially in the crucial time, I started when I was 11, and then I got my black belt when I was 16.
Mhm.
That was such a crucial like growth slash healing journey that I had. And so after that, I took a break to go to school and things like that. I ended up marrying an abusive person. And it wasn't till coming back, because I knew something in my life was missing, and it was martial arts. I came back, and Paul looked at me and he's like, "What happened to you?"
Mhm.
Helped me realize that martial arts was more of impactful in my life than I even knew at the time. So it's kind of like a weird roundabout way. Like I said, I feel like we'd be here for a very long time talking about all the issues, but um martial arts had a huge impact on my life, and I'm so thankful for it. I mean, it helps me with the severe anxiety that I have. I have ADHD. I have some health issues. It's Hashimoto's disease. So I have
Mhm.
that. And so that changes my body a lot depending on it from day to day. And but every single day, it doesn't matter what I'm doing. And I always have a supportive community, and I always feel better about myself because I'm still able to do something. I'm able to move. I'm able to work through some of this stuff. So between mental health, physical health, martial arts is the greatest thing that could have ever happened to life. So
Excellent. I'm glad
Mm.
that it helps you.
Mm.
So how did you end up? And please say as much as you went all the promotions and stuff about the your newest program, the non-profit self-defense for women and the community. Can you take us through that? How that come about and what is it?
Go for it.
Yeah, so our newest nonprofit is called Kitsune Defense.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so as a martial arts school, like we mentioned before, we do a lot of self-defense stuff. And so for over the years, we've done a lot of women's self-defense classes, mother-daughter self-defense classes, things like that. And so we have this wonderful student. Her name is Jen. She is actually a prosecutor for sexual assault cases, things like that. And she actually unfortunately went through a situation herself. And so she came through the dojo and started training with us. And eventually she was like, "Hey, I just wanted you to know this terrible thing had happened to me. And I finally feel like I can, sleep peacefully at this point, even after 20 years of going through the stuff mentally." She finally felt like safe throughout the programs that we went through. And she's just like, you need to go into this level. And she kind of helped us get started with the idea for creating this nonprofit, because it seemed to be kind of an untapped market, especially in our community here. So
Mm-hmm.
so our goal is to be the leading self-defense area here in Michigan. So our program, sorry, not area, but um, so it was a roundabout way of getting there, but it's was our student who inspired us to do it. and just fine tune our self-defense skills in order to be able to provide that to the community. And be able to hopefully get some grant money and donations and things like that through the specialized program with people who have been survivors of sexual assault and domestic violence. So, and to kind of shed light on any type of abuse, any type of traumatic thing that they've been through, and how martial arts can actually help heal you. So,
yeah, that was one of the big things that she had said, but we've talked to other people as well, is that so when you go through a traumatic experience, and you say you have PTSD or CPTSD, you have to relive it over and over, and you go through the, oh, I wish I would have done this, or if it happens again, what would I do? And the court system here will, if you petition them and you are a victim of sexual assault or domestic violence, there are plenty of resources for if you need a home, if you need to be relocated, or if you needed monetary assistance, things to change your situation. And there's therapy that they can give you to, and all of that is helpful. But they're not addressing that elephant in the room, that how do they get their personal power back? How does that person that was stripped away from everything, how do they regain that confidence? And one, we saw that through our student Jen, but we've also taught women's, and we call it mother-daughter self-defense classes, but it's really community self-defense. It's anybody that want to take classes. But we've also seen changes in students from their first class, because we do we'll do a 4 to 6 week series from their first class to their last class, and how they might be. You might say that non-verbally they look meek and mild, the way they carry themselves or how they speak, and by the time the series is over, they feel more confident. They realize that now if something did happen, they would be able to defend themselves, or even be able to learn about de-escalation and learn about the law and learn all these other portions that make up self-defense, because it isn't just the physical act of the violence. It's everything pre and everything post. I've seen a lot of stuff that you do too. So I'm sure that's something you're aware of, but other people may not be. That it isn't just that, say, the worst 30 seconds of your life, or however long the physical confrontation is. It's everything before, and it's everything after, and it can be the rest of your life after, like we saw with Jen. Until you can build that up in yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
Are you aware of Georgia Very?
No, I don't believe so.
I put you in contact. She's in Australia. She's the leading provider for a trauma-informed kickboxing. So she's in connection with universities. She was lecturing here in UK uh, this summer, beginning of the summer. And she's got a huge resources for helping women who went through traumatic experiences, and she does that for a very long time, and she's super nice. I drop you a link to our conversation, and I connect you guys together, so maybe you can exchange. And she's always looking for new information and new people within that community, so we can all kind of lift us together and help as many people
That would be
as we can. So
fantastic.
maybe she got some ideas, and maybe she's gonna steal some ideas from you. But I think it's gonna be beneficial for you to get in touch and kind of work on that kind of programs, because I think it's not enough. All. So I'm in that boat. Uh, I don't teach self-defense. I don't teach specially self-defense for women, because I'm not a woman, so I don't know how it is, and everything what I say is kind of me guessing, right? That's why I always, if we're doing a women's self-defense, I get Mary Stevens, and I just lost his name, Chris Webb, to do a specialized one. So I don't try to step in it, because I don't know how it is. So for you, Paul, I think it's very huge benefit to have Emily, and that she can kind of change and modify the curriculum. So how did the changes of curriculum went from the man's perspective, influenced by the women insight to be a woman, if that makes sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Um, well, I think it's really cool, because a lot of the concepts that we have, and that we were taught from, our personal training, they were their concepts, which is really cool. We are not like, hey, we're going to come in and I'm going to teach you this technique and you're going to do it every single time, which a lot of times you see online. A lot of them are, okay, so you're going to escape through the opening. So if you have a wrist grab, you have a shoulder grab, you have a choke, anything like that, you're going to look for that opening. And so something that Paul might do might be something, as a man, might be something that I won't do, but I can try it to see if maybe that's something that does work, because our goal is to have as many tools in the toolbox as possible. So from a woman's perspective, a lot of it is just psychological and emotional, and being able to hone those skills, because as we know, men and women think very differently. So even though we have different body types, the techniques are very similar, but a lot of it is just being able to overcome and build that confidence to know that you can do it. So I think that that's been one of the biggest things, is just getting people to recognize that you can do this. It's just about relearning your body and how it moves again, in just in a different way. And so I think the best way to summarize that is that conceptually, that we come together as a team to be able to put the things together. So yeah.
Well, it's like
But it
you
hasn't been
said,
too different.
if we teach from a technique perspective,
Mhm.
that technique will only do that one thing. Right? If we teach from a principle perspective, the technique we used to highlight the principle can be done 1,000 different ways. Right?
Yeah.
And we just take that concept and look at men, of the way you might teach a man or the way you might teach a woman. You can teach them the same principles, but you have to show them that they can execute them for themselves. Do it specific to your body type and mentality.
Yeah.
Because a lot of women just don't think, they're told their entire life you can't do it, right? That's what you're telling me the other day, is that women are taught to be demure and passive.
Yep.
And they don't know where their tiger is.
Yeah. Yeah. And a lot of it is just situations. I mean, a lot of it is, when it comes to women, is just being able to recognize that a lot of our stuff is situational. We've gone through and we've been told a million times that, you're supposed to smile when someone comes up to you and tells you to smile. And so a lot of it is a lot of situational, personal feeling type things. So if we're able to connect that feeling to the actual technique, then the concept becomes real for them, and can actually build that. And so, and that's anybody. I mean, the difference might be is if I'm going to do one technique, Paul might be able to muscle through it a little bit more because he's bigger and stronger than me, whereas I might just have to be a little bit more skilled with it. So I might have to turn my hips while I'm doing it in order to break out of something. So it's just it's a very interesting process of learning how the difference between how men and women think and communicate. So
Yeah, mentioning that about the women's behavior and how we as a community teach children, especially girls, to be always nice, always polite. I've got my neighbor is a self-defense instructor as well, so we had a lot of conversation, and he said that for him the biggest problem is with the women to make them to scream for help, because all life, especially in UK, be quiet, don't be loud, be polite, don't speak out, and they kind of getting that engraved in them that I must be quiet, I cannot shout, I cannot embarrass anybody, and yeah, it is very difficult to undo, isn't it?
yeah. Yeah, years and years of years and years of psychological and emotional struggles in society telling you that you're supposed to be a certain way. I mean, family members, friends, people like that. I mean, regular people in everyday life. I mean, work jobs. I mean, it's constantly be an influx of telling you that you're supposed to be a certain way. And so you put them in a self-defense class and you're like, hey, you're supposed to be able, you can be loud here. And they're like, what happened? I can do this. So you spend the first time, the first class we spend just figuring out, where their line is, and showing them that they can use their voice, and doing it with them to help them realize that they're not alone. So
Mm. Yeah,
Mm.
I had a very similar situation with myself when I started teaching in mental health charity, and you don't realize how conditioned you are. So I went there, and asking everybody, "How are you?" and you expecting people telling you, "Oh, we're fine," and then you've got a line of people, 10 people telling you, "No, it's actually terrible day today. I'm thinking about suicide. I had this, I've got this, and I've got 6 months left to live." And you're thinking like, that's not how it meant to go. You meant to say you're fine. And I said, well, you're gonna be fine, but you cannot tell a person who got a kind of terminal illness that, no, you're gonna be fine. It's all gonna be
Yeah.
good. It is kind of a shock to the system, and I'm assume only guessing because, like I said, I'm not a woman. I'm guessing that is a similar situation with women coming in, and you tell them, now you need to scream for your life. What? I never screamed for my life. I don't want to be embarrassed.
Yeah. I mean, some of them are like, I don't even yell at my kids. I can't even do that. So I'm
Oh
like,
no, no. We are right with that. We yell at our kids as much as it goes.
I know. I'm like, come on, you need to put your mom voice on. We know that this has happened at least one point in your life. So
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
Uh,
So one of
I
the
had
tech,
Yeah, go
oh,
on, go on, go on, go on.
one of the techniques we do to do that is it's so how would you yell at your dog if they were getting into the trash,
Mm,
right? So and that's something that they can, oh yeah, oh no, that's happened before. I know exactly what to do.
Mhm.
So it gives them some frame of reference. That's a good one.
Mhm.
And that seems to work a good. Just to have
Mhm.
them use their voice at all, it can be a struggle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still hard sometimes. I mean, we try to be as honest as possible because even though we're instructors and we own the place and we're teaching them all the time, we try to be as honest as possible, and we're not perfect by any means. And there are days where I'm so anxious to be in front of a bunch of people that I takes me a second to use my voice too, and I'm the one instructing the class. So
mm,
we just try to be open and honest as possible to let them know like you're not alone. Just because we're teaching you these things doesn't mean that we're, the greatest thing since sliced bread. So we all have those struggles too. It's just you're not alone. We're gonna do it together. And I mean, we're right there in there with them. I mean, we'll partner up with people and we'll just remind them of those things too. So I mean, sometimes that's all you need is just someone to look at you and just tell you you're not alone. I'm here in your
yeah,
corner and it's gonna be okay. Mhm.
yeah, for sure. Um, a little bit changing the subject, but still within the same thing. I had an interesting conversation with Hanshi Mark House, who is kind of Kyokushin practitioner, but he works a lot with difficult children. And from conversation with him, I formulated questions that I'm going to be start asking, but you're the first ones, and I think it might be challenging questions. So we try
Ooh,
together and we see if it works. Is that okay with you?
Mhm.
yeah.
If you had to only couple of words, can you put all your principles and rules for your karate school and life? Can you put that in couple of words? So for me, I've been boiling down everything what I want to do, and we boil out to we got a family motto and a school motto. Family motto is much shorter, so it's strong and caring. But for
Mhm.
my karate school, is a strong and caring people are the pillars of society, and
Mhm.
karate helps to cultivate them. Um, can you try attempt to think about your principles and morals and how would you boil it into the as short, as clear for your students motto that you're going into the school, you look at it and instantly you know what the school is about. I know it's not easy. It took me a couple of days to figure out mine, but I
Mhm.
want to test that. I want to start asking people about that.
I think that honestly, one of the things that we kind of went through that whole process when it came to our nonprofit.
Hmm.
And I think that, at least me personally, that between our nonprofit and the martial arts studio, I think unmasking your personal power would be a good summary because we keep try to be as consistent as possible through both our martial arts and everything that we do. So um I, I didn't expect to have that quickly, but I'm like, oh, that's something that we try to have in everything that we do. So you're next.
Okay. Well, I don't know if it would boil down everything. but I'm a firm believer, if I can make my community stronger, I'll be stronger as well.
I like that.
So I know that we have to do that, as a group. Like we're not an island unto ourselves, right? So I would say, helping make our community stronger through the practice of proper karate principle.
Cool. And now you can boil it together. Will be a so what did you say again? Yours is a stronger community,
Oh,
Paul?
yes, mine was, yes, making a stronger community.
Stronger community taking back control, right? That's the you
Yeah.
two together.
That's not bad.
That's pretty good. I like this. This is really, it's a good thinking thing. So I like this.
Yeah, it took me kind of, I was reading his book, which I recommend. It's gonna be down in the description. The Buddha Way, Development for Children. Really short book, but really, really nice, with lots of insight. And I was like, this is interesting concept. I don't have anything at home that tells my children directly what we are about and what we want to do. And my son is taking to it. He's like, oh, I want to be a man. I want to be strong and caring and this and that. So I think it's nice exercise for everybody to go through and actually think what's your kind of morals and core principles in life, and know how to clearly explain it to other people.
Yeah.
We need that direction, don't we? As men and women both, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
As men growing up, we don't always get that. You're just sort of supposed to know the unwritten rules. You're supposed to just know how to be a man, right? And if you show any kind of, I don't know, non-manly things, well, then you're just not manly, are you? I mean, and which is furthest from the truth it could be. But as you're growing up, there's a lot of mixed signals that way. I think that's one good thing that martial arts can do, if you find the right school, is you can put that flag in the ground and say, hey, we have a starting point, and here's what we can do. If you work hard and you're true to yourself, then everything else will kind of work itself out.
Yeah, that's the little bit of a paradox in martial arts, right? Everybody's preaching about the honesty, diligence, and stuff, and you look online, take you 5 minutes to see that that's far from true, and you've got a few people who actually are, let's say, what they preach in life instead of being completely opposite. At least that's my experience.
Like some of them, I don't know what your experiences have been. I've seen a few of them with trolls and with other, even even martial artists, where there's no way your teacher would taught you that way, or you would accept your behavior like that in the classroom. But here you are online, because I'm not in front of you. You're going to say this or that, and that's just poor. Martial arts, I don't believe they inherently teach you how to live on the moral high ground, right? I don't think that's its sole purpose, but I think it can help. But it's sure there's sure a certain part of our community that really doesn't know how to act properly, do they? They know.
It's very frustrating, because martial arts is such a unique thing to be a part of, and so to get online and to be able to expand your horizons and meet other people and network with other people in the industry, it's very frustrating when you're like, I'm here to learn, I want to be able to train with these amazing people all over the world, and then you have people that do that and you're like, wow, okay. I don't even know how to respond to them half the time. I try to stay away from all of that stuff. That's a Paul thing, because he's better at handling it than I would. But I tell him to just come to the dojo and Paul will pretend their heads are coconuts or something. So
Well, I'll tell you a secret. I just read all of Les's responses to the trolls. I just copy what he does.
yeah.
Yeah, I do love trolls. I do love trolls. You know, they cannot cope with politeness. If you keep your cool and you're polite, they just go away.
Yeah.
But you know, in going back to the kind of morals and how people behave, I think the martial arts and any position of power is like money.
Mhm.
It just amplifies who you are. You
That's a
know,
good.
if you're a good person, you're just gonna be better. If you are a bad person, you're just gonna be worse. And I think the key figures are the instructors. If you've got a good instructor, that it's the martial arts will be that vehicle to make you better. If you've
Mhm.
got a bad instructor, then it's just gonna be, you know, copying the abuse or whatever you've got in the dojo and that behavior.
And that's a good point too. There's different levels to that as well. When you say good instructor, bad instructor, you might have an instructor that's a wonderful technician, but goes and does all the worst things you possibly could imagine not in the classroom,
Mhm.
right? But then you have a teacher that's not a very good tactician or not very good at their art, well, comparatively,
Mhm.
but they're a wonderful person, a pillar of their community, right? So how different people would say this person is a good martial artist and a good instructor, or this person is a good martial artist or good instructor for totally different reasons as well.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So,
I think
so
you just have to go and try, right? And see
Mhm.
what fits you, and you've got that. Because it's not just about the technical one. You know, when you go into the dojos, I've got the privilege that I teach in a lot of uh, communities and good different groups, and you know, you can feel the atmosphere. You're coming in, and you know that, oh, this is gonna be awesome. This is gonna be so. I need to put the effort to soften people up
Mhm.
into the kind of my way of teaching, because I'm noticing that nothing against the Shotokan, but the very traditional Shotokan groups when I going, they are very reserved in behavior.
Mhm.
I'm very open and relaxed person. I like to joke and stuff, but sometimes like what's wrong with you guys? You know you're allowed to smile.
Yeah. Right.
so
You would love our Wing Chun class.
yeah.
You would fit in perfectly.
So there, yes, Shotokan can be very stuffy.
Mm,
They put too much starch in their gi, and that's coming from a Shotokan person.
Yeah.
But so a few years ago, I'll tell you a story about that. From a few years ago, a fourth degree black belt from a Shotokan school in another state came to visit our school, and he was a friend of one of our other students. And he came in and he started the class, and he didn't really say a whole lot. I was teaching, and went through the things, and he said, "Oh yeah, well that looks good. We do that. We don't do that." We did go through some one steps, although we don't rely a lot on one steps, but we do them as a practice because I think they have benefit for certain things. And he said, "Well, we would never do that in one steps." And I'm thinking, "Well, I watched how you did it. We would never do that as well. What the way you're doing it."
Mhm.
But that's not beside the point. So we traded some thoughts afterwards, and he said, "You know what you're doing isn't very much like Shotokan." And I said, "Well, how do you mean?" "Well, okay, so you have a relaxed teaching style,
mhm,
and what you're teaching is good, but it's not like textbook Shotokan."
mhm,
Because the thing with Shotokan schools are, if I go to a Shotokan school in Denmark, or I go to a Shotokan school in Florida, or I go to a Shotokan school in Canada, I should get the same experience,
mhm.
more or less.
Yeah.
It, yeah, and in a way, that can be very good if you're trying to teach a particular thing, right?
Mhm.
But there's no individuality if that's the case. And we're very much individuals. We don't want to
Yeah.
we don't want to create karate robots,
Yeah.
if that
Yeah.
were, you know.
Well, and we're not part of any associations or anything like that either, which is nice to have that freedom. So that way we don't have people coming in all the time being like, oh, well, you need to change this part in your form and in your kata and everything. So it's nice being able to have being an independent Shotokan school where that's our base, but we can still have that casualness to make people feel comfortable. And that way we can grow from there.
Yeah, maybe I should clear that up. So if we say we're a Shotokan school, we're not part of a federation or organization. At one point we were part of the is it FSKA or ISKF? I don't know. The one that was run by Kenneth Funakoshi, our teacher, was a part of that organization for quite a while. He even earned a judging certificate and his Godan through that organization. But when I started coming here, we were independent. And it was because he didn't want to, on Tuesday, he got an email saying his foot should be this way. And then a month later, his foot should be this way. So he said, well, we're going to take it in our own direction. So we still use the Shotokan syllabus out of the master text as our basis syllabus. But however, we do a lot of things that just aren't covered. When we do Funakoshi's 9 throws, but we also do some Hakaru Jiu-Jitsu because I like standing Jiu-Jitsu. Sometimes we will throw a little bit of Wing Chun in there because we think straight punching is important. Things of that nature.
Ooh, the grounding from Goju.
And grounding from Goju.
A little bit of everything.
And then Kakiya isn't necessarily a Shotokan practice, but when you take it and you put that into the Heian Kata and like I remember I said that Shotokan karate is like the Texas of karate. So it's also be like, I think someone took Shotokan took karate on a rubber band and stretched it out.
Yeah.
So everything's longer and farther away. If we took I don't know how your experience was with kata, but the parts in kata don't really work when we are at Shotokan distance.
Yeah.
But they work when you are at Goju distance, if that makes sense. I like to call it hugging distance.
Yep.
You're close enough to hug the person. So
I say that we love cuddles.
Oh yeah, that's good. So all of these things start to make sense then. That didn't before.
Yeah.
And in that aspect, I think our delve into all of these other arts has made our Shotokan better, honestly.
For sure. I think it's everybody's experience. So my karate changed dramatically when I stepped into the wrestling. It opened up the world of kata for me, and it comes up naturally. I like to cuddle people instead of punching them. So I love this. But you're saying that you're doing different things from Goju, taking it. So how did the Kakiya came in? Is pronounced Kakiya, right? I'm terrible with Japanese.
So
the
that's
tool.
okay. Me too. So the tool, you mean?
Yeah, the tool, the Kakiya is Kakiya, not Kakiya,
Kakiya.
Kakiya.
And
Kakiya
is
Kaki pushing hands.
Or
Kakiya is the tool, right?
Yeah, the tool itself is I looked into it because one, I saw a picture of Chojin Miyagi's Garden Dojo, and it's there. There's one there in the picture. But I also looked at people like watching videos of Ryan Parker.
Yep.
And a man named Jerry Leverett Jr. Yeah, he does a lot of martial breaking. So and I actually got a hold of him when I was learning doing coconuts. Because you start to, one thing branches to the next thing and it's sort of a weird web. But and that was like with Makiwara. Do you know Noah Lego?
Yeah.
So I knew Noah before I met Paul and Michelle. And Noah said, hey, if you want to learn Makiwara, maybe you should talk to this guy named Paul. He lives in California. I'm like, oh, okay. I'll just message him and see what he says. So I start talking to him, and he started talking to me about all these things. Makiwara, very, very wonderful person when you say he'd like to share all of his knowledge.
Yeah.
And I'll circle back to the Kakiya in a moment. So, but I wanted to learn Makiwara because I watched a video of Morio Higaonna hitting the Makiwara, and I'm like, I got to hit like that guy. That's so awesome. And people are like, well, what's so great about it? I said, well, just look. Look at what he's doing with his body and how he can just throw the punches that way. And his whole body moves into it. Anyway, the search into the Makiwara and the coconut training and the shorter stances and the grounding and learning Sanchin. Sanchin was very instrumental in learning how to hit the Makiwara, by the way. But I got into Kakiya practice working with Paul has a video. It's called the Connector Drills series. And when you get into it, it's really cool because it's based on Gojuru Kata, or not even that, the Kihon, our four basic blocks. It's based on that taking that and it bridges kata. It bridges our kihon and our kata, this connector drill. Okay, these connector drills. And through that, I learned about Kakiya. Well, I can't always practice with a human being because one, people don't want to sit there and practice all the time. You know, not everybody. And
Our hands get tired.
And two, I wanted something I could hit hard because I was already in the makiwara and I was already doing coconut stuff, and sometimes you just want to let loose on something, and you can't do that on a human being, if for lack of a better term. But the Kakiya has been something where I can do that, and I started really experimenting. I can work with kata on it. I can take all the framework from kata. I can and the principles that get taught there and move into that. And it ended up being so much where it's my second favorite tool to work with other than the makiwara.
Okay.
And I don't know, I like working with all these extra things. And then Hojo Undo as a thing, I didn't realize it was a thing, but there's so much in it. It's wonderful. But my brother saw that he saw I was making videos with it online, and he said, he had just started a video company called Flint, Michigan Films. And he said, hey, so do you ever think about like making an instructional video? And I said, well, I don't know. I like working with it. Who would care? You know, it's not like it isn't a tool that everyone uses or can see the value in. But I did because it's something I like. It fit for me. He said, well, maybe someone else would like that as well, right? So maybe we should make a video. And this was in 2020. He said, you have 2 weeks. I bought the same camera that they shot The Walking Dead on, and you have 2 weeks to come up with a outline. And then I'm going to be in your dojo and we're going to film it. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. I've never done anything like that before. So I took a hard look at how I was training, and I took and the things I was working on, and I turned it into a basic syllabus on how to work the thing. And I ended up building a video how to make your own, because that isn't a popular tool, and I don't know where you could even buy one. But you can make one. Anybody can make one. It takes about 4 hours. But I put how to make it, how to do conditioning and warm up, how to take parts of your own kata, whatever your style is, because I didn't want to make it specific to Shotokan or anything I was doing. I said, then how can you take the principles of your art and apply it to Kakiya? And then how to take a partner and take from the Kakiya, work with a partner, and back and forth. So it has a beginning, middle, and end as a training device. And I was hoping by presenting that to the martial arts public that maybe they would see that they might see that it has some value as well, right? I don't know how it's gone so far. The people that have bought it haven't done any reviews except for 3 people, but
Yeah,
so far,
I was gonna ask you how is that going, because I'm in a kind of same boat. So I done I done 2 courses, but mine is kind of based on my seminar footage. So I've got few people grabbed it, but like you said, there's no response from them. So I don't
yes.
know if it's like, oh, it's so bad that they don't want to offend me,
Oh,
or
I
is it
thought
so
that too.
good that
Well, I mean, I don't know. For one, anybody that's seen any of your content would
Hmm.
know that if you put some energy into something like what you've done, it's going to be wonderful. We'll just put that aside.
Yes.
And I suppose I should at least think the same a little bit, right? But you never know. You never do know. No, I sent a few copies out to people and they didn't purchase it. I said, hey, I would just like your feedback, please. I sent some I sent one to Paul Enfield, and he wrote a very nice
I've seen,
review.
yeah.
And I wrote one for Noah, and or I'm sorry, I sent one to Noah, and I sent one to a friend of mine in a group chat for Makiwara, because it's like to share
Yeah,
principles and practices, and it's all been positive. But those are people I know,
yeah.
right? And not that I would think that any of them wouldn't say anything negative, because I would expect them to, right? But also, if they're your friends, they also don't want to hurt your feelings, so they'll be more kind. And not that I was expecting a bunch of negativity, but you really want some honesty. When you put something out there, it's part of, whether you like it or not, it's part of you.
Mhm.
and you've given it to the world. So you want to know what you're going to get back.
Yep.
And are they getting something out of it? I know recently I taught an online seminar for the Kakiya. Only 2 people signed up for online, but the 2 people that did talked to me afterwards and became Facebook friends. And one of them bought the DVD because they want to build their own.
All right.
And I said, well, if you would please do a review, that would be great. He said, it'll take me about a week. He's a gentleman that lives in Ireland, and I had never met him before the seminar, but obviously I made a good enough impression where he thought,
Mm.
oh, I'm going to have to buy this now, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, so I guess for maybe for all of us, we just need to get out there, get seen,
Mm-hmm.
right? Get
Yeah.
seen enough, and that's
Yep.
hard.
Yep. That's the worst thing. I'm not a salesperson, so all the putting the post and grab my stuff, it's such a pain.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah,
Well,
yeah.
I think part of it too is being able to attach some form of connection. It's not just being like,
Mm.
hey, this is value. We had talked about this before, is being able to attach some sort of like mental or emotional connection to it too,
Mm.
in order to help people recognize why this has value. So I mean, okay, yeah, Kakiya is important, but it's important because sometimes you don't have a partner, and you can work the basics of things that you need. You can work advanced things on that. So being able to market that in the right way is hard too, because we know what it's like. We know how awesome it is, but then trying to convey that and to put that into words and images and posts and all of the digital content that we have,
Yeah.
instead of just talking to each individual person, which is so much easier.
Mm.
That's the hardest part, is being able to do that stuff. And I was in marketing, so it's hard.
I think part of
Mm.
it, when talking about that tool
Mhm.
specifically, is it's easy to see the benefits of Makiwara.
Mhm.
You're going to hit harder.
Mhm.
It's a lot harder to see the benefits of this particular tool because they're not always as obvious,
Mhm.
you know.
Mm.
So the being able to stick to something,
Mhm.
that feeling of sticking to something, that feeling of replacing your hands and controlling um, and the way that this is particularly set up, it has different resistance depending on if you move up or down or side to
Mm.
side. And that's a unique training experience that you get to have.
Mm.
And it's just harder to convey that, the benefits of it.
Mm.
Yeah.
So where people can find the course?
Oh, well,
Oh, you're surprised. Just promote yourself.
Yeah.
so well, right now we have it. It's linked to
Facebook
the
page.
Facebook page, and
Mhm.
it's also linked to Instagram and TikTok. I think I have a sales page in there, but right now I just have an ad that I'm sharing. But there's a link
Mhm.
in the Heian Karate Do Facebook page to be able to
Mhm.
purchase that video.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put the links to the stuff, to your course, my courses, Paul's courses,
Good.
in the description so people can go and grab it. And you know, i- hey, if you want to build a tool like that, get the course. Two, if you want to support Paul and his ventures and put some confidence, buy it too. If you want to support my confidence, buy my stuff.
Right. Right. No, it's good.
Absolutely. Well, I think, gosh, I don't even know when you Paul told me about you. I think the first thing I did was go and buy your book. I'm like, this
Oh,
is
thank you.
amazing. This book is amazing, and it's been so nice to work through because it's relatable. And I
Mm.
don't think that I think people tend to put martial arts or martial artists on like these pedestals, like, oh, well, you do all of these cool things, you must have the confidence of like a god or something like that. And so it's nice to realize that we go through these things and every single day, and you're still a human. So I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, the first thing I did, where you're like, hey, you got to check this out, and I bought your book because it was amazing.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it's constant battle, right?
Mhm.
That's why I enjoy the podcast, because it gives me a chance to talk to strangers or internet friends, and I'm fighting that anxiety all the time. So it's always a struggle, always a stress. How it's gonna go, what questions I'm gonna ask, and how I'm gonna be interacting with people. Sometimes it's nice and easy, like with you guys,
Mhm.
Sometimes it's a bit harder because we don't click straight away and it takes time to warm up and stuff. But it's all experience and all learning. So hopefully gonna one day I'm gonna get better at it.
Well, when you find the secret, please share it because it's
Yeah, I
definitely
make a book.
struggle.
I make a book. I
Uh,
make a book
good.
on
Yes.
it.
I'd say you're well on your way. This has been a great experience so
Yeah,
far. So
absolutely.
you're wonderful to talk to. You ask good questions,
Mm.
and so
Thank
And
you
it's
very
nice
much. It
to be able
doesn't
to.
feel like it. It doesn't feel like
oh,
it in the head.
well,
Mhm.
we'll just keep throwing positivity your way.
Yeah.
How about that? Until it
Thank
does.
you very much.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's important.
So
We're
now's the part. What's gonna be in future? What the future plans for you? More courses? Are you gonna go delve into more courses?
Oh, you mean teach, make more videos? Well,
Yeah.
so my goal was to, if I could sell 100 Kakiya videos, it will pay for the next one. And yes, I got the first one does just get you started, even though it's like essential for you. The plans are to have 2, 3, and 4 to have more intermediate and advanced ways to practice with the Kakiya.
Cool.
But also different ways to work with a partner and how different martial arts can work with that tool.
Mm.
But also maybe teach different things. Because what
Mhm.
like one of my mentors, so Paul Enfield, he said, well, so now that you've done one, you may as well do another.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, well, it's not something I thought about. Um, because whether I like it or not, I'm in a unique position to make those. So I
Mhm.
may as well continue. It doesn't mean I
Sure.
have to be the very, very best at it, but there's other people doing a lot worse that are doing more, if
Mhm.
that makes
Mm.
sense.
I think I've seen more people actually building those things in their gardens since you start posting the
Mm.
videos and stuff.
Oh,
It's definitely, it's something that uh, you kind of breaking that ground first, coming in and doing this first. So I'm
Mhm.
sure it's gonna catch up. Then in 10 years' time, you're gonna have many people copying your videos and creating their own videos. It just
I
the
hope so.
start is really slow,
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
gonna take that peak and then start snowballing.
Yes. Well, because
Mhm.
overall, I mean, I don't care if I make $1 million off this stuff or if it's just a Paul Musolf Kakier empire. I don't care about that. I just want
Mhm.
them to be, I want people to appreciate the value that that tool has.
Mhm.
In our karate, it's something that's people it's got thrown to the wayside and it shouldn't have been. But
Sure.
anyway,
And Emily, what's the future plans for the Kitsune Self Defense?
Oh man, take over the world maybe.
Yay.
So well, at least Michigan. So yeah, our goal is to be able to just I mean continue to provide quality self-defense to the community because the world is a scary place right now. So
Mm,
and I know what it feels like to walk around and not feel safe, but knowing that the martial arts that I know means that I'm going to do something. So it I want to be able to empower people, be able to give that back and help them realize that they do have the power to not only protect themselves, but take care of themselves properly too. Because self-defense isn't just about learning how to fight in a dangerous situation. It's about taking care of yourself daily too, reminding yourself to drink water and get plenty of rest and surround yourself with people that are positive and uplifting instead of the negative, toxic people that are somehow attached to our lives. So it's about just over our well-being and being able to take care of ourselves in general and it's along the lines of what you're going on your goals are too, being able to provide positive mental health outlets for people. So so yeah, well, that's the goal, is to be able to push that through at least through Michigan. So and
mm,
then the rest of the
yeah, because
rest of the
we've
world.
already been, well, we've I don't even know, Oscoda. We got a
Mhm,
job in Oscoda. We got a
mhm.
job. We are next week. Is a week after next?
Yeah, a couple weeks ago.
We
Yep.
got invited to it's called the Sapphires Conference. It's held by the Flint City Police, and we
mhm,
got invited as special guest speakers to address how self-defense should be handled in our area and how victims of domestic abuse and sexual assault, how they can move forward.
Mhm.
So that was wonderful.
Yeah.
Because that's going to reach, that's a national program that
mm.
just happened,
Cool.
that's held in our area. So we're hoping to have at least network with people that
Mhm.
can help us do a better job.
Yeah.
So
Oh, awesome. I'm sure there's gonna be something good coming up from this. Can you tell people where to find you, where to connect with you guys?
Yeah, yeah. So we have our regular dojo page, which is heiankaratedo.net. And our nonprofit is kitsunedefense.org. All of those contact links in there, our email, our phone numbers, things like that, they're all on our pages, and they go directly to us so we can get a hold of you at any point. We also have our Facebook page, Heian Karate Do and Kitsune Defense. We also have Instagram, TikTok, all of the above on social. So there's a multitude of places that you can contact us for sure.
Yep, and
Cool.
I mean, shoot, if someone can't find any of that, just look Paul Musolf up and hit me up on Messenger.
Yeah.
I'll message you back.
Yeah. 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 We're definitely no strangers to just having conversations with people. So
Awesome. Thank you very much. Thank you for your time and speak to you soon.
All right,
awesome.
thank you.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.